Good evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Today we've got Erik Grönwall. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad we could do this. Obviously you've been on my radar for a while as everyone. You came out as the guy that made a lot of us enjoy Skid Row again. Like
Oh,
Skid
thank
Row
you.
was a muscle car, but for a while it lost the engine or something to it, like it lost part of it. And the fuel, Grönwall power is what I think it needed to fuel it. And people got to read the book, you'll get it. And it brought it back to life. But that being said, the we're going to talk about your book today, and it's good. It's a fun read. Being 37 or 38 at this point, having your life story out. I'm assuming this is just part one.
Yeah, hopefully. I
You're a
hope
pretty
so.
ambitious young guy, so I would hope that this is. I'm like, man, 30. No, I'm just joking, but I imagine you're probably gonna have a lot more. But I learned a lot about you that I didn't know. And it's great because it's a little bit on Skid Row, but it focuses on your life and who you are. And
hmm
most importantly, as we were saying before it got in the air, it talks about your battle with cancer.
hmm
And I think it gives you some different perspectives. As I was saying, I have somebody that just went through that on a different level, and I was on the other side, like where your wife was going through. Um, and so I think it's an important matter you bring up, and people get a different thought process of what it's like to be, not like the rock star. It's like a human being with a family and a wife. I think your
hmm
wife is one of the biggest stars of the book. Is the biggest rock star
I
I
think
know.
so too. I think so too. She's incredible. And as I was reading the book, I was like, is this really? Yeah, she actually did that, and she's amazing. She just got back home, so yeah. She can
I just
hear
want
me
to say,
talk about her.
no,
Yeah.
that's okay. Well, I'll say, I want to say, because being the person that I know somebody went through on the side of your wife was at,
hmm
being the one where you couldn't get through you were hitting all the horrible news about cancer and you couldn't focus, but somebody had to be there. I specifically went to be that person for my stepmother, for hers,
Yeah.
because she
Yeah.
couldn't focus. And be honest with you, to love somebody that much, like I'm sure your wife loves you, and to hear it and to have to focus because that person's already, you have so many things going on. It's so super that she did that. So I just
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
round of applause for
yeah.
her.
I'm truly blessed, and to have her by my side, and she was so uh, incredibly strong through all this, uh, and she's kind of like processing it now, like
Deservedly
because
so.
sorry, what was that?
I think deservedly so. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, right. But because when I was sick, she didn't really have time for that because we still had, my son was 1 at the time, and she had to take care of the family. COVID was everywhere, so we weren't allowed. She wasn't actually allowed to have, or she couldn't have a job because of my immune system and everything. So it was just chaotic, and but she was really really strong through everything. And then when I got better, I went out on tour.
that
So
was a part
like
of like crazy.
so I've recovered from cancer, and she's like, "Oh, I can finally go back to work." And then I'm like, "You know what? I'm just gonna go on a world tour for a couple of months, and can you take care of the house
Oh, and the kid,
and the
yeah,
kid and the dog and the cat?"
and the dog.
You know.
But I think
Uh,
you found a balance though. I think you're in a good spot. I do think, not get ahead of ourselves, but I think you leaving Skid Row for your health, I think is a good thing. But
yeah,
we'll get that in a minute. I think it was very, very smart. I think it's is a most important thing you could have done. You know,
yeah, it was a really really tough decision, and I really wanted to. If I could have stayed in the band, I would. I it just got to a point where I was like, well, if I'm gonna respect the guy who went through all of this, and respect my own values as I talk about in the book, I just had to make that decision. But
it,
it was the right decision, but it was a hard decision.
well, I want people to go out and read this book because it was actually out in your native tongue and your language, and just recently in the past what year it was made English
hmm
version,
hmm
and it's a good read. It's not an easy read. It's not a hard read. It's just a good average read, which I enjoy because I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to read too heavy, but you don't also want to read something too fluffy because it's not fluffy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you know, in the early days when it talks about you talk about the early days of you forming, finding your voice, your life. all the karaoke. I love that.
Yeah.
'Cause that's one of the
Yeah.
rock and roll backstories I've never heard. And I've heard a lot of rock and roll backstories.
The
Um,
karaoke king. Yeah.
karaoke, and it plays into now though. You still do it. You
Yeah,
still nail it.
absolutely.
But that was your probably your biggest ground of training is all your
Yeah,
karaoke, which
absolutely.
your crowd work probably, your confidence, your range, how you hold your microphone, near
Yeah.
far.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was really it was a good rehearsal space, being able to because sometimes when we started karaoke at 9 in the evening and there were no people there. But I had to entertain, so I just,
Right.
did a couple of songs. I'm going to try this song and I could really experiment and try different things and different songs and challenge myself, which I still do today, but now it's called YouTube, So it's
You
pretty
do it
much the
with,
same thing.
and I know I'm gonna get ahead of this, but I do love the choices you do because growing up, I love the same kind of different songs for like, I always love you like you go back and forth these like will be metal and then not metal just because it's a good song, which for someone like me that loves songs itself is really
Hmm.
fun, and it
Yeah.
seems like your audience allows you to do that, and I also think it's allowed you to not be just the rock guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you do it
absolutely.
well, but you don't need to get locked into that either. You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah, I realize you can package any genre in any way you want. So you can take a pop song and make it sound metal. You can take a metal song and make it sound blues. It's all about the packaging and the production. So I have a lot of fun experimenting with that. It started with me doing just recording from here, actually, this corner right
hmm
here. Just songs that I loved. I started singing because I had to. It was healing for me when I was sick. So if you look at the first video, I'm standing without any hair and just in the middle of treatments. And but then it okay, so it started to get some traction and it just grew from there. And now I'm doing more of a like I'm trying to find a new approach to the songs instead of just doing a cover of it and adding my vocals to it. I'm trying to find well, it's still a cover, but you know what I mean. I'm trying to find a different
you put your imprint on it, I
touch
think, in
to
a
it.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
and people need to they need to subscribe obviously if they haven't to your YouTube page because that's where everything goes. And I know you have a Patreon that they can also participate through your YouTube,
Uh,
right? I think
Now,
or is it
I
separate
no, they can become members on YouTube. So
on
instead of
YouTube. I'm
Patreon,
sorry.
I'm doing yeah, yeah. So you can become a member on YouTube. Yeah,
Okay, similar. Yes.
similar.
Even I
Yeah,
get confused. It's all right.
Same
So
function.
same function, but they can follow me on YouTube and you can get deeper into the other areas with them.
Yeah,
But so as I'm reading the book and you're talking about the illnesses you're going through, and then you start doing the vocals, it's surprising to me how strong your lung capacity was when you started singing the YouTube songs, even when you were in treatment. Like
yeah,
not being exhausted, like I just got out of bed and I'm exhausted. Like I'm healthy. Oh, I wasn't healthy, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not dealing
yeah,
with
yeah.
cancer or anything that I know how many kind of sicknesses. And I'd be like, I couldn't do that now. The fact you've got that, you had that much power in you being sick, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. What you don't see is obviously the bad days. You just see that, the good take basically, but it took a lot of effort and a lot of takes to get that done. To be completely transparent. But I also have a very good vocal coach who helped me, and the cortisone really damaged my voice. So it took some time before I found my voice again. And it's a lot. I mean, a lot has to do with my great vocal coach who really helped me. But when I was contacted by Skid Row and I started recording vocals, and I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna pull this off. I have no idea how I'm gonna pull this off." And I called my vocal coach, and she was like, "I'm certain you will come back stronger than ever." And those were the words I really needed to hear. I was like, okay, if she believes it, I will believe it. And then we started working from there, and eventually it worked. But when I started rehearsing those 45-minute set, we did a 45-minute set for when we opened for Scorpions. My first shows with Skid Row in Vegas was a residency with the Scorpions. It was 45 minutes, and I could barely get through one song because I was so exhausted. My muscles, everything that I kind of like took for granted before. It was just
Yeah.
gone. Like my jaw muscles, I couldn't reach the high notes, and I called her so many times. I'm gonna have to pull the brakes on this because I'm not really sure. I can't do this in a month, because this was January, I think, or February, and we did the first shows in March, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna pull this off. Because my plan was to do a show at Sweden Rock Festival with my buddy Jonah. We had a power metal project called New Horizon, and that was 6 months from when I started recovering, or after my like a year after
Yeah.
my transplant. So that was a pretty solid plan in my head. But then Skid Row reached out, and I had to do it in a month. But it worked. But it was really challenging and
It,
tough
it
in the beginning.
it's amazing. I have like two questions. First off, do you notice I think it's two parts. Your voice, is it different now? More range, less range, deeper? You have any changes on it?
I
'Cause I listen to your old stuff, your new stuff now, and I New Year's I can't because I'll be honest with you, I didn't follow the American Idol for your country
yeah,
or for
yeah,
my
yeah.
country or for my country as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Except for the blurbs. And it's not even a dig, it's just it's not my deal because I think it if I was a musician and that was the spot that's all I had, I would sure as heck take it. And I
Hmm.
think another encouraging and keep referring people back to the book, you kind of break down that it's a TV show and not a music thing.
Yeah.
And it's really good the way you break down each chapter. So I think it pulls back the curtains, and kind of like a Wizard of Oz, don't look behind the curtain type of thing. It
Hmm.
explains that it's not all caviar and here's what the challenges are, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And you've had a tendency, and it's always working for you, is to get to a certain point, and if things aren't working, you kind of blow it up and go back
Yeah,
to zero
yeah,
again. And I
yeah,
think it's worked well for you actually, despite
yeah,
that on paper it looks crazy.
yeah. I know it's a mess.
No, 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 but I'm saying, but seeing it in a book form, you're like, oh, this makes so much sense because but so like, and this is not. I mean, I love Skid Row and stuff, and but I think to me, like, it's a business. Skid Row is like the three guys, three originals. It's like a lawyer company. You get the three main lawyers, and then Rob is in it. Like he's like he's not one of the owners. Like the three games on the thing. You'd be a bowl of the business, and then you get and you so you kind of came in as a new guy, but as a business venture, which they are besides music, have you come in with helping kind of still sketchy. I mean, they still didn't know. You didn't know. Seemed like a rough business gamble, and to keep taking you through the process and not hear you and them not being worried about the bottom falling out.
Yeah, I mean,
On my end, it seems kind of weird.
if I understand you correctly here, what you're saying is that we both took a risk, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. I'm surprised that even those guys, like, I see them pushing you and wanting you because you sounded great. You put new life into an already talented bunch of musicians. So I'm not slagging Skid Row by any means, but you added to it. It just the two things exploded together. But from their end, they are also taking a huge risk because they get this deal. Scorpion stuff is a big thing. It falls through. They've already had some issues and reputations with some crazy singer situations. It's not going to help their business model.
I mean, it was we both took a risk. I remember once saying to Rachel, like, "Wow, you guys took a really big risk with me," and it was like, "Yeah, but you took that times four or something because there are four people in the band." Uh,
Yeah,
but but the thing is, we found each other right away, and I still think we were so good for each other. They helped me, and I hope I added value to Skid Row. Feels like it. And I mean, they added value to Erik Grönwall, the Grönwall business. So it was a really, really good relationship we had, and we had a really good thing going. But they definitely took a big risk, and I'm I understand it's hard to grasp how what a bone marrow transplant comes with, or uh, like a leukemia treatment comes with. It's there's so much, and it's not like there's any blueprint for it. It's just
right.
okay. Today this is happening to your body. Okay, we gotta check what that is, and it's blood tests every month, every third month, every 6 months, and it's just it's a big thing, and it's a lot to keep keep track on, obviously. But we were really good for each other, and those guys were very extremely generous from day one. Very democratic. Like, you know, it was democratic from day one. It wasn't like I was the hired guy. I was part of the band. So
Yeah.
they made me really feel really good about that. And I wanted to be, you know, a part of the band as well. So um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say, obviously, but we had a really good thing together,
Well, I
and
think it's
I'm
important to talk about that though, because I mean, I know there's going to be as time goes on, it's going to be like Eric and Skid Row, and like you say something, they say something, and that's always such stupid clickbait stuff.
there's a lot of
And,
clickbait out there,
and
so
I don't
be
like that.
careful.
I
Yeah,
try to stay away from that. This is no, so I'm not thinking, I'm not. The people you worry, I'm not talking. This is nothing bad. I'm just talking about that they took a chance also with Eric. I'm just talking about the challenges that's in the book. There's nothing bad about anybody.
absolutely.
Just
No, no,
people
I
be
know, I
well aware of
know.
that. That's the whole point of this. Is I'm avoiding any clickbait because I've heard, you see, you wrote something, and they're like, well, I don't remember that, and it goes back, and I'd really hate to have anything go askew from this. I am only surprised though that they didn't want to work, or they didn't, or they couldn't take a chance. If they took a chance with you, to not switch the business model, because I think the challenge of them now is getting another singer in that's going to fit the same. I almost think taking the time and repackaging yourself like a different time touring schedule. People read the book, you get more details. They didn't keep it and try changing it a little bit differently because the value and the financial value of the band went up, and touring places were different. I noticed that.
Mm,
It's just easy to see online. It's not a assumption. That's my assumption. I can visually see online. So the value of the band went up. So you tour less places, but you're bigger venues, and everything goes up. So maybe changing it a little bit would have been worth taking a shot at changing the schedule. And that's not a decision you make. The band just couldn't do it. I'm just saying, as an outsider, saying, geez, it feels like they've taken so many chances that not taking the time to try a new schedule that worked with your health
mm.
wouldn't be the way to go. That was kind of surprising to me. And there might be more to it with the band side. I'm not judging anybody, but that seemed kind of weird, the
Yeah,
pattern.
yeah. I mean, I can't speak for them, obviously. I mean,
No.
I gave them a proposal that I thought would be manageable for me, and but it didn't work for them. And they have to do what they do, and they've been doing this for a long time, and they somehow always manage to, you know, come back again. So it's, I mean, it's not for me to say, but
No, no, it's not for you. And I don't mean to put words, I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm saying, but as a fan that's watched and listened to Skid Row my whole life,
hmm
I was so happy now. Johnny came in. He was a good singer, but he wasn't the same range. Wasn't the type of same singer. They wrote good songs. It just didn't feel the same. Like it was a different band. And I forgot the other guy's name was Z something. But they've had different people come in at different times, and nothing hit the mark. Even me as a fan, I would check them out. I'm like, nope, not doing it for me. But I'm a fan of them, so I check them out. Um, but when you came in, to me and a lot of people, it brought it back to where it was as
hmm
a right there. And the album came out, really good, strong album. It felt good. So to me, it felt like it was the right direction. It might have been the same path that they may have wanted, but it just felt like it was the right direction, and that was
Yeah.
the path to stay on until it's to go where it goes. I mean, because the challenge now is, yeah, like in Rockstar. I know you quoted yourself in Rockstar. You caught yourself saying that in the book. You mentioned that
Oh
you're a
yeah,
coach.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
in a theory, I mean, I was hearing that before you even said that. I'm like, it does feel like it feels like it. Like at one point when you were ready to leave, you could just hand the microphone down to somebody else in the audience and just walked away. That was like the last. That would have been like the last part. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Eric said he had to go take a leak, and I don't know, man. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I hear you, but it's, you
because that
know,
puts him in
it's
a weird spot now as a band, though, as a business. What are they going to do? I mean, Lizzie came in, and that was great, but she's got her own business.
yeah, that was really great.
Yeah,
That would have been really cool actually.
because there's no
Uh
comparison. It's a good singer. That's not
yeah,
comparison, and it's new.
she's
That's a good
awesome.
angle. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
but where they
Well,
go
the
now is going to be hard because they know what
the
they need now. They need your voice or a voice similar that can hit those ranges.
future will tell. But you know, it's I can also feel saddened that we ended up here. But I think we really tried to find a solution. And you know, at the end of the day, everybody's got to do what they feel is best for them, you know.
Right. And there's two artists now. There's Skid Row and there's Eric. So people have two artists now. Never anything bad. It's always just there's two artists now when they split up, you know?
And then you got Sebastian. So you
I
actually
think
got
he
you got three.
I think there's a lot of similarities with his personality. If he really took a minute to look at you, he'd probably really get along with you. I just think
I think we would get along great,
I
actually.
read his book
Uh,
too, and there's a lot of similarities in his personality, like
oh,
where he's very
really?
sensitive. Oh yeah,
Really? That's cool.
I
That's
mean, I never
cool.
talked to him. I read his book. I was like, wow, he's a very sensitive guy, and I know you're a very sensitive guy.
Hmm.
And I just think, and you guys have both ranges and his similarities. I mean, your energy is a little bit different,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
but to a certain point, though, I
yeah.
think if he
But I'm
sat down,
Swedish, you know. I'm
if he was,
Swedish.
you're right.
Yeah, my Swedish
Um,
energy.
I do think there's a lot of similarities that you guys would probably in a different world get along pretty well, actually, if it
I
wasn't
think,
put
yeah, I
to a
think,
certain way,
yeah, I think
you
so
know?
too. And I've always said, like, from the day I joined Skid Row, I was like, if I meet him, I'm going to shake his hand and just say thank you for the inspiration, because he was a vocal inspiration for me
Oh
when
yeah.
I grew up, you know. And I will say it again, what he did on Slave to the Grind,
Oh
top top three best vocal performances of all time in rock and roll history.
yeah.
It's that was insanely good. So you know, it was for me, it was a privilege to go out and sing those songs. Um, there's a lot of you know, there's a lot of stuff going on vocally, which makes it fun, obviously.
It does.
It's not fun on bad days, though. You know, when you have a cold, that then it sucks. Then it's the worst job in the world. But on good days, you know, it's great.
It's like read the book, the timeline of like 2019. I mean, also, there's many good things there, but like from getting cancer, fighting it, doing Skid Row, getting out of it, the recording, and I just saw the DVD. I probably watched you like twice. Your performance and the
Hmm.
energy you have even between the songs. I don't know how you're catching your breath, and then you are delivering the songs from Slave to the Grind. There's something about your
Yeah.
voice where you have your own sound, but you could also emulate the tone of his in a way where it honors it, but you're not
Mhm.
copying it or mocking it in a weird. Yeah, you're just not copying it, but it totally sounds just right. You know what
Cool.
I mean? Like,
Thank you.
but you're not. You
Yeah.
don't. Oh, you're welcome. You don't have this exact voice. I mean, it's very so similar that if you didn't know, you heard it, you'd be like, oh, okay. But then you start listening to the nuances in your voice and knowing what else you can do. It's not the same
Mhm.
voice. It's just another one of your ranges.
I don't know
And
either. People keep asking me, but I don't know. I don't.
but you don't talk
I don't.
about how it's not the exact same, but it's so in when you sing those songs, it fits perfect.
Oh, if it's okay, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm, you know, people have asked me about my range, but I'm not really sure if I want to know because it feels like I'm limiting myself. I know
Yeah.
a lot of vocal coaches are like, you know, oh, it's here, it's there. You should
No,
sing in this register, and I'm like, well, you know, I'll
I wouldn't.
notice when I get to my limit, you know, but
Well,
I'll just keep singing, you know.
and I think now, but I did realize when I was reading the book, I think one of the important things is because you've gone to different bands from Heat and this and that, and you do all your own stuff. It really comes down to the fact of, and now you're gonna be with some Michael Schneider stuff is you need to be in control of your own schedule. A
Mm-hmm.
because of your health,
Mm-hmm.
and B because of your awesome wife and kid. That's the
Mm-hmm.
most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And then everything else works after those two. Um, but to that point, your celebrity, and I don't mean it's like celebrity like a rock star, like you drive a motorcycle through a hallway. I mean, you're so known as your own person that you being in Skid Row is like Skid Row and Eric. You know what I mean? Because and eventually it would have blended together, but it's almost at a point where you are your own person now. Like so, if you have a band, it's always going to be you. If you put a bunch of unknowns together,
Mm-hmm.
or be you
Yeah.
in like a super group or a bunch of known musicians, because you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
established as your own. It wasn't like Sebastian Bach was part of Skid Row and then became solo, which is just you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now moving forward, you're in a spot where everything you do is kind of going to be you, like your band, whether it's a band or your name with a band.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I think so too.
it's good
And
though because you control it now.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I mean, I guess we're not going to talk about Skid Row this the whole time,
No,
but I
no, no,
just
no.
want to mention,
I'm actually, yeah,
no, no, no.
getting
I'm
down
not
to it.
saying I can talk about anything, so just
Oh
ask
yeah,
away.
yeah.
But I mean, I'm very transparent when it comes to this. But I want to say again, I loved being in that band, but I also love doing my own thing.
Mhm.
And the YouTube channel have helped a lot with that actually. To you know, I can do pretty much whatever I want. Like you mentioned, I can do different genres. I can experiment a bit, and it's not like, oh, it want because I have this concept called Wheel of Fortunes, and you know, I spin a wheel to
Yeah,
write a
I
new
wanted to jump in.
song.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a lot of fun. But you know, one day I'm doing country, the other day I'm doing reggaeton.
Yeah,
You know, it's just very, but it's not like people are saying, uh, people don't think that's weird because it's YouTube and it's just fun and you know, it's entertainment.
right.
But I also want to do more original music and like you said, I will do it I will do it more as a band, but it will still be called Grönwall, or
Right.
it will still be my thing. And it started. The reason I went that way or that direction is, like you mentioned, it's my health. Part of it is because of my health.
Right.
I'm getting stronger and better every day. When I was in Skid Row, it was I had to do a blood test once every month, and then it was every third months. Now it's every 6 months, and so and my immune system is getting stronger, and so it will get easier, obviously, to be on the road, and I want to be on the road. I just have to make sure that I can keep up with the schedule. And Michael Schenker has been really um, you know, amazing regarding the tour scale. I've told him, I've been very transparent. I've told him everything about my history, and he's like, okay, let's do like this, da da da. And
Mhm.
so there's always solutions to that tour,
I
which feels great for me. I don't want to put anyone else in a situation where, oh, the singer is sick again. Oh, now we have to
mhm.
cancel and we don't make any money. I hate being in that position. So I just want to make sure that Michael also knows what he's hiring, and we've talked about it, and he's really cool about everything and got a solution for everything basically.
Michael is like one of my top five guitar players anyhow, but so that's pretty awesome. You got with him. He's just so
Yeah.
ridiculously good. Yeah, and it's probably it's hard with you because the book is is the two big things in the book is of your life that everyone knows is your cancer and Skid Row. To touch on that, but the truth is there's so much more. And reading the book and hearing those two things, but then seeing your early life and all the things you do, the little businesses, that's what I enjoyed. Because previously, I don't know, I reached out to interview you because I mean you're Skid Row, whatever, and I enjoyed your singing. But I always like to talk to somebody and have a little more meat to it, like a little, you know what I mean, like something different.
Hmm.
So when I had the chance to read your book, that became exciting because there's a little bit more than the same interview people give you. Kind
Hmm.
of,
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
kind of pedestrian. So to me, my favorite parts of the book is you talking about doing your own version of like American Idol, getting the kids with the kids and that part of the
Oh
story,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
or working with your manager and becoming your own business manager. And so what I'm saying is, from reading all these little parts, there's so many things people need to realize that Eric did that you've earned like your own steps, and by you, and sorry, Skid Row is a part of it, but by you saying this, even to Skid Row, your favorite band or one of the biggest bands that you wanted to begin, and you were nailing it. People got to watch the DVD. You were so good in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And for you still to say, I have a line I can draw it and walk away from it. Not a lot of people would do that big a thing, would do that in the business. So you've kind of shown that in retrospect, and be looking at everything. You've got your line. What means more? What you say is what you say. You'll stick to it.
Hmm.
You've got all kinds of experience. You've been in different bands. You've written with different people. You've performed different things. You've shown you got the chutzpah, they would say, to push through hard things. You've got the family backing, and you've got the experience from all different sides of the music now. You know what it's like to be the artist in the bad end learning. You know what it's like to be the artist on the good side. I mean, so you've got a lot. So for you
Hmm.
should not be a lead in anything you do moving forward would be almost
Hmm.
shortchanging yourself, you know.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I mean, I realized that, because like you mentioned, I had my management business and I managed other artists, but I also realized that when I started using all those skills to manage myself, that's when things really started happening. So
Mhm.
I'm I would say that I'm co-managing myself with my manager now, and when I realized that, speaking from a business standpoint, when I
Yeah,
realized that I am the product, I'm
yeah.
not trying to find the product out there in another artist, but I realized that I was the product. That's when things really started to happen. And it took me a while, but I like experimenting and I like trying new things and I like to learn new things. I studied music law, for instance, for a while, sorry, for a while. And and I had my manager help me, and he's a great manager. He's been the manager of the Cardigans, Europe, Ace of Base, like these Swedish big acts. So he's got a lot of experience, obviously. But yeah, and then the hit chat thing we did in South Africa to help
Which is
other.
awesome.
It was such a fun and cool experiment, but and venture, but it was also heartbreaking to see
What
the.
happened with them? I never in the book. I don't think you touched on that either. I haven't looked it up on YouTube. Did they go on
it,
and anybody do anything?
Well, we released a couple of songs with them, and they did great. They did a couple of shows in the townships because that was the whole
Okay.
business idea
Right.
to create a platform for young kids in townships in South Africa to give them that opportunity that they don't have, that we have, to do something with their talent. And then so it was we took the K-pop model and did that in South
I love that.
Africa. So we got them to a safe neighborhood. They stayed together in a house that we paid for. We had a vocal coach, a choreographer. You know, we did all the things that the K-pop guys do, but we called it T-pop, township pop. So it was such a cool thing. And the only thing that got in the way, well, the only thing, it wasn't a small thing, it was my cancer, you know. So I was the music guy. I was taking care of all the creative aspects, and then that, you know, I just couldn't manage everything while I was while I was sick,
Mm.
and that's also when I ended. No, that was actually after I ended. When I joined Skid Row, I also realized I can't manage other bands now. I had to focus on
Yeah,
myself
yeah.
and getting through this. So, but I really enjoyed that time. The girls did great, and they also for a while because they brought in another guy who helped out a bit, and it worked for a while. But that company, we just couldn't make it
Yeah.
with all the challenges that we had. So unfortunately, it doesn't exist anymore. But I learned so much from it.
So the fact that you were very hands-on and people, like I said, this is a good book. There's a lot of things that Eric does that I never knew, and that's why it was really, really good story. You know, how you went in and you were very hands-on. You went into the neighborhoods. I can't imagine what it was like to
That
be a
was that
European
was
man in a rough neighborhood like that. Like literally,
that
that's
was scary.
horrifying.
We got lost, and I'm telling I tell the story in the book. You know, we got lost
Yeah.
because obviously they don't update the GPS. Like Google Maps doesn't come out there very often.
I can
Yeah,
imagine the
so
car with a little camera on it going through the neighborhoods after you described it.
no, they were yelling, white man," you know, it was just but it's really it's so horrible the kind of life they have and wake up to every morning, and it's not, you know, that's also why we wanted to do it. We wanted to create this platform where they can focus entirely on getting themselves out of that situation, because they have to every day is survival for all the young, well, for everyone in townships. It's all about
Right.
survival. So if you're focused every day on surviving, obviously, you know, self-fulfillment is a luxury you will not have. You know, it's all about surviving and you know, reaching
But
your
hope.
full
You gave hope
potential.
though. I think that's important.
I think we did, and yeah, that's also one of the things I'm like, oh, it could have turned out great, but it didn't. And for yeah, you know, I because of the cancer, and it's you know, no one knew that was coming, obviously. So there's what can you do?
I was thinking about it. I'm like, but the people that were exposed to that could have been just enough to be inspired. Like, I get it. I'm dancing in front of the camera. I'm putting this together for this. I'm going to pursue this somehow. I'm going to, like, it could have been enough for somebody. It could have been that one thing, like, you know, you hear that AC/DC record when you're growing up. You hear that one thing that inspires you.
Hmm.
Hopefully, maybe it inspired a couple of people. That was enough for them to move
Yeah,
on
yeah,
without
hopefully.
say the management, but they moved on to something else. You want to be hopeful that you offered something. You tried. You did something different.
I,
You know,
I know the girls are doing really well. So, you know,
and that's a win right there,
they're I
right?
think they're all out of the townships. So that's definitely a win.
Yeah, it's a win.
I just wish we could have done it for, you know, 1,000 young people or
Right.
more.
Well, I
But
think it's an
yeah,
important thing. You know, it's a
here
good
we
chapter.
are.
And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and there's so many things you could. There's just not enough. I think one of the problems of learning is there's so many things you can do and do. There's not enough time. There really isn't, even with good health. Like
Yeah,
you just
exactly.
can't. You
Exactly.
can't be a
Yeah.
manager. I mean, to me, anybody that can do rock and roll and sing like you, but also is a fan of rock set songs, is okay in my book. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
some of the
right?
best music. I love
Yes.
rock set. I'm like, when I read that, I'm like, oh, I go, he even likes rock set. How can you not like this guy? Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
They're great.
The
Or
Droid
was great.
album, it's like one of the best albums ever out there. I mean, it's just so good. There's so
Yeah.
many good pop rock songs on there. It's infectious. I'm
Yeah, he's a
surprised
great
that
songwriter.
you guys got to do something together with him. You guys got to kind of sit down and Do something.
Yeah, I actually have his pick here somewhere. I think that was the first show I ever went to, his solo tour. And I have the pick here somewhere. Yeah, it's in the
See?
other room. Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
You guys,
he's great. He's a great songwriter.
how do
He
you say his
just
name? Like I would say it so English, like it wouldn't even be funny. Like
Pat Gessle.
yeah, I would totally not do that. It would sound so.
How would you say it?
I don't. I couldn't even. I couldn't. I hear the PER, and I just totally want to say like Peter. Like I just want to say some. Oh, yeah. No,
Pure
that's ugly.
GC.
That's just ugly Anglo-American. Like it's
It's
not.
it's a very
I just
Swedish name, I guess.
I've destroyed more names that aren't strictly English of musicians ever. Like you know how hard it took me to learn. Can't say it now. It's the singer from Steelheart. Like I could not say his full name. It took me like hours to learn his name to say it.
Yeah,
And he's
how do
like,
you say that?
I can't do it now. It took me so long.
Miljenko?
Something like that was, but
Yeah,
to say just
go,
enunciate just right, it was really hard.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
But anyhow, yeah, get a little sidetracked. But I'd love to see you guys do something together. That would be a good
Yeah.
song. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so we'll put the energy out there right now. So if anybody's listening from that group, let's get it happening. Um,
Yeah. I wouldn't
but
mind.
yeah, that'd be great. What is it looking like you for your future for finding a balance now? Because you've shown you
Um,
can do all this, and you can do some Michael stuff, but you're not going to be locked into anything in the future. Is that
yeah, I
you know what
mean
I'm saying?
I'm doing right now I'm focusing a lot on the original material I'm putting out and I'm just gonna go I'm not gonna do it the traditional way. I'm not gonna sign with any label right now. I like being independent, so I'm just gonna put it out on YouTube and all the other platforms. Like I'm gonna do one cover a month, one original a month, and I'm just gonna keep releasing music and go and go from there. And then I'm also doing Michael Schenker this in April, May. We're doing a couple of festivals this summer. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just writing music, releasing music. I love being able to do YouTube because there's so much freedom in it. I record everything from here, and then I record the video usually from the other room here. So it's it's very convenient. It's a good balance.
Seems very high tech. It's
Um,
the quality you do, the recording process. I do want to say that. I mean, step on you. The quality though of the sounds of the covers you do, it sounds fantastic. Like it really is
Thank
spot
you.
on. You're welcome. And even when you did like the Europe cover, but you did it differently, it still honors it in the sound. The quality of the recording sounds good. Beyond
hmm
just your voice. I mean, is who's doing the recording of it? Is it you and your
Jonah
co-partner?
T. Yeah, Jonah T. We started working together when I joined Heat in 2010. And I was in Heat for 10 years. So,
Yep.
we've seen the
I went
world
back and
together.
listened to that too. I hadn't even listened to Heat
Okay,
before.
yeah, that's cool.
So I
That's
enjoyed that.
cool.
I did enjoy that. So they're now those albums are good. Those are fun.
But he's a really talented songwriter, producer. He
Yeah,
can play pretty much anything. So the reason the production sounds so great is because of him, because I have no production skills whatsoever. I record my own vocals, and I know what I like in terms of like vocally,
right.
and I know how to approach songs, and I know what I want to do. But then I just send the vocals to him, and he adds it to his mix, and he does his production to it.
Phenomenal. He does a
Sometimes
good job.
he's a really talented guy, Jonah T. And then I also have a guy I grew up with, and he did the video for Oh Holy Night, the Europe video, and House of the Rising Sun.
Mm.
So he's just a really talented guy, and I'm gonna do when I do the covers now, I'm gonna put more effort into the video aspect of it. So he's gonna record it, but sometimes I'm gonna record it myself from here when it makes sense, budget wise.
Well, but it does. It's amazing because we talk about YouTube channel. It's going through it as I've listened to everything and gone through everything. The quality really hasn't been like a weird. Like you can tell, like when I did my show, how things have changed. Like a lot of us have started doing things like out of the gate, your quality's always been top notch coming
Oh,
out.
thank you, thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. And you're interactive. You know how there's like you don't do even there's not even like a lot of interviews, as we were saying earlier. It's pretty much you announce on your socials or you do your question and answers. You left Skid Row, you're like, all right, let's talk about it, boys and girls. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
very open.
yeah.
Um, you write to the people and it gets right out there too. You know,
Well, thank you for saying that. I think that's going to get even more valued with, I think a lot about AI and what's happening, and it's really
Mhm.
interesting to follow. It's also a bit scary sometimes, but it's also very intriguing. But I think a lot what will happen is that when you can't tell the difference when you're on like in your car and you listen to Spotify and you can't tell the difference if it's AI or human, then I think we're going to value what makes us human even more. Like getting this connection,
Right.
a connection between the artist and the fans,
Hmm.
a more direct connection, a very open connection. I sometimes I post to my members on YouTube like I'm having a really bad day vocally. Guys, help me out here. Just being very open and transparent about it, and also going to a live show. I think we're going to value that even more.
Hmm.
Like hearing a false note here and there, and the
I love that. I talk about all the times a
imperfections.
bad note. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
you hit the if you hit a chord, it's wrong. You do it twice, it's on purpose type of deal.
yeah,
It's a joke if
yeah,
you're playing an instrument.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah,
but that's the world you want to live in. You don't want to be the band that doesn't bring their laptop. I know that was a big joke online, that poor band. You know,
yeah, yeah,
that was the genre, but it is in defense, it is that genre, and there are fans of that. Just like every like some type of music. But for a lot of people that like rock and different versions of rock to metal to whatever, the love of it is live music. I'm
yeah.
okay with you getting a bad note. I mean, okay with getting a lot of bad notes. What amazes me is how unwinded you are. Like in that video with Skid Row, you're singing. Like to me, I'm like, I'm just exhausted just watching you. So, but that's the fun part of going, is he going to be able to make it? Because it's live. It's
Yeah, yeah,
exciting.
exactly. And I mean, the shows that I remember and that people talk about the most, like, oh, that was the best show ever. It's not the shows where everything was played perfectly, or where I hit all the notes. It's the show like in Chile when the PA shut down. When we started playing, I think I mentioned that in the book as well. We
Yep,
started
you
playing
did.
I Remember You, and the PA just shut down, and it's like, okay, what do we do now? And then you turn it into something, you use that and turn it into something
A moment.
great with, yeah, a moment with the audience, and that's what people remember, and that's what people talk about. I did a show in Munich. I think I talk about it in the book as well, and I felt like it was one of the worst nights ever. And I had a cold. I couldn't. This was before Skid Row. This was with Heat. And then you go out there and you do the best you can. Uh, and yes, I did have a lot of whiskey, but it's something people still talk about. Like, yeah, that show, and I still remember that show, but I don't remember all the other shows that were, great. That sounded great, but this is what I
Is that
remember.
the one you're talking about when you had a problem with your pants? That's
Yes.
you had two stories like that. I'm like, man, this guy's got a lot of stories.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not going to tell people because I want them to read the book. I'm trying to keep it a way where we can excite people to read the book without
Yeah.
giving away all the good parts
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
there are a lot of good parts. So
Absolutely.
now you have to read it to find out what was going on with his pants. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
I want people to read
Yeah.
it because it's good. And we're just going to
Thank
touch on a
you.
few things. I don't want to take up all your time. I appreciate this. But also as a fan of music and of live stuff, I say, and I think AI is a good thing. To me, I've avoided it until recently where I started using it to just come up with crazy pictures just because I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let's sit down, draw me this with this and this. Let's see what you can do because it's just ridiculous. Music, I think what you're doing is because it probably, I'm 54, so like generationally, you're 37, 38. You're on the cusp of, I would like to say you have like a leg in each lane. You grew up with old rock and roll and the way the vinyl and the albums and this and that. And some people are like younger, it's just YouTube, so they got that. You've kind of done both. You've done the live thing, but you also do YouTube. People that just do YouTube might not be able to fill a club. Well, you've done both. You kind of keep a balance of both. You're not just living in that world of virtualness
I see what you're
because
saying.
you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to play out live and do it with a picture of a guitar on the beach of Instagram. That might be part of your thing for
Hmm.
an album cover or something, but there's a show that you would do live. And I think that is A, going to fight off AI to give
Hmm.
it whatever. And B, I think that's kind of one of the best models that you're going to have as an artist nowadays to keep going live
Hmm.
and find a balance with technology and being
Yeah.
interactive. I think you've got the best mix of it
Absolutely.
right now.
Absolutely. And I've been asking myself, why didn't I start the YouTube channel earlier? Because starting the YouTube channel, and I think, I've been giving this a lot of thought. I think that has been the best career decision.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting more offers now than I've ever had. And it's a lot thanks to YouTube. I'm not saying it's just because of YouTube, but it's a lot thanks to YouTube because you have this reach, you have this audience, and people who want to listen, and there's a demand. You're building a demand basically.
But you
Um,
show a lot though too, though. I mean, you show your songs. You show like you do write different songs. You do it's like
mhm.
video LinkedIn for you. Like it's just got everything out there
Yeah,
for you. Like what you
yeah,
can do.
yeah.
It's
It's
like
like
your
a
resume.
resume. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, I totally hear you. I mean, a lot of the stuff is very, we live in a very track-driven music world where, there's artists out there who stream like millions and millions with every release, but they can't sell one ticket to a show.
yes.
Because people know them by their song, not by who they are as artists. And I think that's where the problem is. Because you see someone like playing somewhere and you have no idea who it is, and then you go on Spotify and you realize, oh, it's they have 34 million listeners a month. It's like, who are they? Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that it's very. I guess it's never been like that in the music business before.
I don't think so. I mean, I get a lot of that. People want me to go on my show, and they'll send me stuff, and I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, I don't think you could fill a club. I don't think you've ever played a
Yeah,
club.
yeah,
And I'm like, and
yeah.
no offense to you. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't have the talent because I get lots of talented people. It's just not my thing. I want to support live music,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'll support the video end because I want people to go to your YouTube channel. I love it. I mean, I subscribe to it. I love the different variety of music you do. But I also know you're going to go out and kill it live. You're going to write your
Hmm.
own music. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Um,
definitely two different worlds.
but it's a balance, and I think to me, I've always turned it away. But this is the future because if you can't do this and do both, it's
Yeah.
not going to exist on either plane. And you've also done the thing that most bands have learned is you're on your it's called the cottage industry, where it's almost dangerous now, where a record label is going to want you because you've already built everything now. You have the audience, you can do everything except probably license your releases overseas, or actually it's not overseas for you, it's right next door, but back over here. But you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, and you can take care of that. I mean, you've got everything where you don't need to, and you'll make more money doing it yourself. You don't need the big
Hmm.
labels. A lot of people don't actually anymore. I mean, you really don't need the big labels. You can do it yourself. You just got to get up to
Hmm.
that point. And
Yeah.
for a lot of young bands, you are the model. I think that people need to see the business model of doing everything and keeping it live though is the
Thank you.
future.
I mean, it always comes with a higher risk in the beginning. I mean, when you have to, if you're not really sure about the outcome and you're paying for productions and you're paying for, you're paying out of your own pocket. So instead of having a label cover that expense, and you like,
But you
or
still
you
own the
get it.
label afterwards though, anyhow, though, right? And then you're
Yeah,
in debt
yeah,
with them.
yeah,
And so if you get kicked off the label, you got
yeah.
contracts and stuff. So you're in debt
Absolutely.
anyhow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I feel like I feel like I don't have to sign with a label right now, but I feel like I can add a few of the perks that the labels have, and just I can hire someone to take care of all the copyright and make sure that
Hmm.
everything is registered correctly. That part, okay, I need that part. I want someone to do more traditional media because I'm not really good with that, and I don't have time for it. So maybe I can hire someone to help me out with, reaching out to when I release a new single, reach out to all the relevant magazines, have an interview like this, someone you can talk to.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to add some of those parts to the what I'm building
Hmm.
here, I guess, and go from there. See where it
It's
ends up.
it's a new world. Like, well, you get then that's the other thing. You get people like me, like I don't do the show for money. I do it for, I just do it because I'm a big fan. But it's grown because it's me being a fan, saying fan questions and supporting music. Well, the artists, whereas it used to be radio, and it'd be like with the Hawaiian shirts on and stuff. And I worked for radio for a couple of days, and they do that. They wear the Hawaiian shirts, but they have an agenda and a sales and a product to sell. For me, there's nothing to sell. It's just the love of music, and like a lot of podcasters do that, and all the web magazines or the websites we call them, the big sites, they all start them. I mean, they do need to make money because they need to keep it going, but they do it because of love of music. So the energy for a lot of that stuff is still grassroots, all the way to the
Yeah,
artist. Whereas before it had radio and record and record companies. There was money got involved and became something different, and
yeah,
payola
yeah,
and cocaine and this and that. And those are the
yeah,
things.
yeah, exactly.
In college, I took music, which is school for music, and my teacher came in and talked about radio. He says the first things they come in, big thing of cocaine in a suitcase. Like I got to the point with radio that's how they were doing it. Like I could spend hours talking about the behind the scenes of the radio stations at the end. you
Yeah.
know. And this is guy actually experienced it.
That
I'm
was
like,
probably in the 80s, right?
it was. And I had another producer would come in. He was talking about it was a singer, Pebbles, I think her name was. She had a single. He's like, I just had the worst day. Every single word of the song we had to cut. We had a tracker. Each she had to do one word at a time to put a whole song together. So like the insane, like production. But nowadays, you do it right behind you. You sit and sing it live, and that's where it's great. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. So I think the big carry away is people go read the book. First off, get the book in English, or if you can read it
Yeah, in
in,
Swedish.
in,
Yeah.
in Swedish,
There's
that's
also
even better.
an audiobook out there that I did in English and in Swedish.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, it's
How is
not
that?
on.
Like saying it, like doing it and reading it out loud. Is it
It
different?
was so out of my comfort zone, but I did it anyway. And I had a, and this is the cool thing, talking about fans and connections with the artist and that close, like having that relationship with your
Mhm.
fans. I had a fan helping me out, making sure that the pronunciation was right and everything. So she listened to it like 4 or 5 times. Diana, thank you so much. And she was so dedicated to just help me out,
Mhm.
and I owe her. And I'm releasing a vinyl soon, so I'm going to send her a vinyl as a thank you, a signed vinyl, and she got a book as well. But just having that kind of connection is incredible. Um, and also I was thinking about promotion, and I've realized that the best possible promotion, sorry, is doing stuff like this. Like you
Mhm.
have your YouTube channel, you love
Mhm.
music. We talk, we get on a call and do an interview, and all the
Mhm.
reaction videos out there. It's like I owe these guys so much because they're reacting to my music, and they then have big channels and they help me reach a new audience. Uh,
And magazines picking us up too. They'll pick up a podcast.
yeah, yeah,
I've had my
exactly.
podcast picked up in like Guitar World, like bananas. The thought of it. So I mean, you are hitting actually magazines if you do a podcast
Yeah.
sometimes. Like you just never know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What
It's a
you
new
do
world.
want to what you do what I would like to get rid of is the clickbait, that's the only time I feel like, oh, this didn't come out right, But eventually if people just read the interview or the article, they
It's
usually get it.
hard.
But
I mean,
it's
actually, I
hard.
started the
Yeah.
show me being honest. I'm like, I just want people
Yeah.
to listen to the whole interview.
Yeah,
And I'm a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bigger now, and I just want people to listen to Skid Row's awesome. Eric's awesome. It didn't work out. It's kind of weird. I have some questions because of the book, like why it didn't work out technically, but there's no bad blood. There's no clickbait.
Hmm.
People need to go on. That's the
Yeah.
whole point of this. Like with everything, I don't want anything bad, man. It's all about music,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
I mean,
And it,
and I realize I'm also a bit of a hypocrite here because when I release videos on YouTube, I'm like, what will be most effective here?
that's different. I think the titles on the YouTube thing, yeah, the picture and the artwork, I struggle with that too. I've changed better pictures and I may have to better titles, but saying certain things in a way, you've been very diplomatic with Skid Row. You know, so you doing your show though, doing your question and answers is the
Hmm.
best defense to clickbait because you just put it out there all the time and you're
Yeah,
100% control.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's right.
I want to thank you. I'm glad we could do
Well,
this. This has been fun.
thank you. I really appreciate the talk. And
Where can people check you out? So go to subscribe to your YouTube. Where else do you want me to send people to?
YouTube is where all the music happens. I've got Instagram and Facebook as well. I'm not very active on TikTok. I just have TikTok so people know that I'm on there and
Yeah.
to avoid all the scammers, basically. And be careful about the scammers. There's scammers everywhere. Every time I post something on Facebook, there's always a new one. Uh, saying I'm Eric's manager. You can get in touch with him directly. Um, and it's just be careful because I don't do that. I never ask people to click any links and or anything.
And Eric's a busy guy. It's not going to be able to get easily to him either. It'll take a long
Yeah.
time.
Well,
It's not a dig. I'm
uh,
saying you're really busy and it's not that
yeah,
easy. Get
yeah.
in line.
No, that's
So,
right. Yeah. So, but mainly YouTube. I would say YouTube. And if
okay.
you want to get the book, you can go to
So Harper. Yep.
eric.merchants.se.
Okay.
Eric with a K, Swedish spelling.
That's right.
Eric.merchants.se.
I'll put the links underneath for people so don't have to remember it
Thank
because
you.
thinking stinks, right? So if you think, you
Yeah.
stink. Um,
Yeah.
I gotta put that on a shirt. My logo, the channel, just you think you stink. Um, Eric, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to hearing your
Thank
music
you.
come
Thank
out.
you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.